Okay, I think. Yes. Okay. Guys, listen. Today you're in for a treat because one, I'm probably not going to do 2 podcasts in 1 week. But two, I also got kind of an unhinged sort of rant slash maybe some witchy lessons in here for you today. But I have something. I have something that I need to just let out. So, I have this neighbor. We'll call him George. George is a very shy man. George is a very kind man, at least he seems like that on the surface. And honestly, to this day, I still think maybe he has some kindness in him. But George, he's a little interesting. One, he lives behind me. Two, I did, for context, so you know that we aren't complete strangers, I did watch his cat for a couple days. When I say his cat, it was just a stray he took in for a moment just so he could get it fixed and then let it free. Anyway, so yeah, we have conversed, we have discussed. George is the same person that you heard me discussing in the previous, in the podcast before this. So yes, this is an ongoing tale. So George moved to where we are now from another state. And in that other state, George had a girlfriend who also was a practicing witch. Okay, so George has had an opportunity to at least, like, dip his toe in the water. Okay? He's seen things. Probably. Or he's at least, like, experienced a snippet of whatever his ex was doing. So he's intrigued. Okay, well, being the person that I am, I like to teach. I mean, shit, I did teach middle school biology for all of, like, maybe a quarter. But hey, I did it. But yeah, so I have this teacher in me, right? So of course I want to teach. I also have a shit ton of books. So of course I want to be like, hey, yo, I have sources. I'll help you. I'll answer your questions. We can totally, like, be chill, talk, whatever. Well, so it gets a little weird. So, like, after the initial day, initial discussion of, yeah, I can help you if you want to get into witchcraft and stuff. What are you looking for? What path are you intrigued by? Why are you wanting this to begin with, right? Like, what's the big why? If it's just to gather information because you're just curious, that's totally fine. But this wasn't necessarily not, like, the vibe that I was picking up that he was wanting, right? It was more of, oh my gosh, you claim to have power. I don't know what that power is, but I just know that you said power and I want that. Whatever that means. That was the vibe I was getting. But, you know, I was like, hey, that's okay, because everybody enters this craft in a different way. You know, maybe he'll be humbled soon. Maybe he'll learn something soon. Maybe his ancestors will smack him on the ass. I don't know. But that's also not my problem, right? That's not my path. It's his path. Okay? But, so, when I offered to help, I didn't, like, offer to be his personal research secretary. Okay? So, like, when this man's sending me a bunch of different book titles and is like, what do you think of this one? What do you think of this one? What do you think of this one? Should we read it this one? Sir, you have a phone, right? Like, you're texting me with the phone. I've seen your phone. It's a smartphone, which means, sir, you have the internet in your hand. It's one thing to, like, ask for advice and guidance. It's a whole other thing to be like, yo, you know the things. Do the spiritual work for me. Okay. Anyway. So, this person George wanted to start a super exclusive witchy book club specifically. And I remember joking back, oh, you mean, like, you know, a group where all these, like, witchy inclined people learn and share ideas so that we can all grow together, right? And he sends back, because this was in text, he sends back, it can be whatever you want to be, with a devil emoji. Okay. Sir, you're like, I don't know, in your 40s, maybe. I'm in my late 20s, and I'm married. Anyway, I just kind of brushed that off, went along with it. He goes to the bookstore later that day, to my knowledge, doesn't find anything, but continues to just send me random book titles. And I'm like, listen, this is your path, okay? What are you wanting to do? I'm here to help you. I'm here to share ideas. But, like, what, we can search for books all day, but if there's no pull to go towards that book, why are you going towards it other than just wanting to have a book club and having, a book just to say we have a book, right? So I just say, hey, you know what? Why don't we can put the book club on the back burner. Why don't you figure out what you're wanting to do? Get some legs, right? Respectfully, figure your shit out. At least a little bit, and then we can, reconvene and maybe do the book thing. Well, apparently he bought me a book. He didn't tell me. And this was also after I told him eventually that I wasn't wanting to be a part of his book club. But then the next day he told me he bought me a book. It was like a hardcover on smell. Yeah, I don't know. The sense of smell. Okay. Yeah. So fast forward, obviously I am leaving some details out. Mostly because I don't think that they're really pertinent. It's just, he bought me a book after I told him that I didn't really want to do it anymore, and I didn't want to be part of it, and he continued to be pushy about it, and I just basically said, bless your heart, no. Go away. And then I ghosted him. And if you hear rumbling in the background right now, that's my dogs. So fast forward to today. And fast forward to what... fast forward to my goal for this podcast today. And that's to talk about taglocks. I was not planning on doing this podcast, obviously. But after the shit that I just experienced, yeah, we're gonna talk about taglocks today. Because I think that that's something that not enough people discuss, and I feel like new witchlings, I'm gonna call you witchlings, baby witches, I don't know, new practitioners, the novices, right? This is something you all need to be aware of. If you are an energetic, a magically inclined person, and you go and you meet another magically inclined person, just like if you both were more mundanely aligned people, and you want to just, hand over everything and all of your past trauma and your baggage and everything that absolutely, is worth something to you. You wouldn't just give it to that person, right? Kind of the same thinking with on the magical side of things, right? So for example, George decided when he moved in for the first time behind me that he would give me a plant. And as a, hey, I'm your neighbor, if you need anything, come over, ask, sort of thing. Super nice, right? So now I have this plant, and I named her Egret, so her demise made me a little sad, but we're here. So I have this plant of his. Now, when things went wrong, I initially wanted to go the mundane route, as you should go. If you're ever going to go and want to do baneful work, or even a return to sender spell, or whatever, you need to make sure you have checked all the mundane boxes first. Did you talk to them? Straightforward. Did you tell them no? Did you make sure, all your safety precautions were put in place? Are they a threat to you? Are you in danger? Freya, can you stop licking the couch, honey? It's very loud, sweetheart. Dogs. Am I right? I love her to bits. My goodness. Okay. So, yeah. So you just want to be careful what you leave behind. Okay? So I would have thought maybe he would have, I don't know, considered this. So he gave me a plant. Things didn't go right. I checked all the mundane boxes. Things weren't really working in the way that I wanted it to. y'all are gonna have to listen to Freya now chew on her ball in the background potentially. Uh, so I took the plant, and because that was something that he gave me, it now is serving its purpose as a taglock. Now, what's a taglock? Before I go any further, a taglock is literally anything that can be used to connect back to you. It can be a personal effect, like a t-shirt, piece of clothing. It could be your hair. It could be maybe like a significant item of yours. So like maybe your favorite, I don't know, baseball card, or favorite rock, or favorite book, right? Or favorite whatever. Something that belongs to you, something that came from your physical body, something that connects back to you specifically. So this plant, being that he gave it to me, was a taglock. It came from him. It has an energetic connection to him. And so I decided that I would take advantage of that and, excuse me, goodness, the broccoli lungs are strong today. I decided that I would cut the cord. And so without any sort of nasty intentions, right? Because usually if you're going to use salt, vinegar, anything of that nature, usually you're using that with more of a maleficent sort of intention, right? Well, the only reason why I used salt and vinegar was because that was guaranteed to quickly kill the plant, okay? So my intention was not anything bad towards him. It was to just, as soon as the plant dies, that the intention was for the energetic connection to him to cut off, right? I hope it seems pretty intuitive. And again, I love the plant. I felt like an absolute butthole to kill it. But to me, I didn't really feel like there was anything else that it could do. At least at the time. Now, 2020 is, in hindsight's 2020. I got that backwards. Whatever, you feel me. Hindsight's 2020. I'm sure there's other things that I could have done that did not involve killing the plant. But we're here. Bear with me. So, this morning, plant was fine. Well, dead for the most part, because I had put salt and vinegar on it, but fine. It wasn't toppled over, it wasn't messed with, it didn't look, like someone went over and kicked it over or something. That was this morning. Around noonish, Freya's now under the table trying to get her ball. Around noonish, I went to take the dogs back out to go potty, and I noticed that my plant is now toppled over. And I'm like, okay, well, that's weird. So I'll just put it back together as best as I can. And as I'm going and picking up the dirt, because I'm just trying to clean off the area, I notice a brand new screw mixed in with the dirt. And this brand new screw, to those of you who think that this is just a silly screw, it could be. It could very well be just a silly screw, and it just happened to lay there, and it just happened to maybe fall off of a piece of hardware on my RV, or maybe a cat, because there's a lot of cats, outdoor cats around here. Maybe a cat was carrying it, ran into my potted plant, dropped it there, right? Like the perfect storm, right? Maybe that was the case. Or maybe so let me tell you something about this screw. It's brand new. And when I say it's brand new, there is no sign of weathering, like it's been out in the rain. There's no sign that it has actually even been used, right? There's no scraping on it. There's no rust. It's brand new. It looks like it just came out of the bag. And it doesn't match any of the screws that are on the outside of my RV. It doesn't match. It does not match. all the screws that I have on the outside of my RV in that area, within like a good 10-foot radius of that area where my plant is, all of the screws are black and coated in some sort of weird matte finish. This is a shiny silver screw, and the threading on it is extremely short, and it has like a really long like rest of it that doesn't have threading to it. What I'm trying to paint a picture to you is that it would not make sense for it to be the screw for my RV. It's clearly not meant for outdoors. It's not been used. It doesn't match any of the screws that are within the immediate vicinity. Shouldn't be there, right? Now, in a lot of different folk crafts, including Appalachian folk craft, which I did tell him I was somebody who practiced that. So he is aware of the field. So if he was smart enough, he probably looked it up online. A common baneful work or whatever. But and not just Appalachian folk magic. A lot of different folk magics. We use like rusty nails or rusty screws or some sort of rusty screw or nail to either mark your territory, to either curse somebody, to hex someone, protect yourself. Like, screws and rusty screws and nails are full of uses. And if it were me, and if I were brand new, and I was desperate and thought that someone was doing a magical working on me, even if I was in the wrong, George, like you are, if I saw a spell that called for a rusty screw, and I had nothing but a normal screw around, I could see him picking it up and putting it there. Now, is it an extremely shoddy attempt at getting back at me? If it did come from him. Again, it could have just been literally placed there by a cat, right? And this whole podcast then is moot. But where's the fun in that? We have to entertain the possibility that some random man decided that it was completely appropriate to grab a brand new screw, go topple my plant that's, mind you, right in front of my front door. In which case you have to go through my gate, because I have a miniature fence, to get to my door. So he had to go through some things to get to my door. Yeah. We have to entertain that thought, right? Or else, why would I make the podcast? So, entertaining the thought that yes, he did think that it was appropriate to do all of that, topple my plant over and everything right in front of my door as a 40-some-year-old man. Like, to someone who's drastically younger and also not available. So what I'm going to do is a Return to Sender spell. And maybe he'll fucking finally realize maybe I need to stop leaving taglocks around, right? Because just like the plant is a taglock, you bet your fucking ass I'm going to use this screw as a taglock. And for those of you that are like, you're just overreacting. If my initial spell that I did to that plant, if I unintentionally, because mind you, I was a little angry. My intention was not to cause harm, but I was a little angry when I made that spell, okay? My mindset was not where it needed to be. And because I did use salt and vinegar, even though my intention was not to cause harm and it was just to end the relationship by letting the plant pass on, those ingredients inherently have an energetic connection to more negative work, to more baneful magic, right? So maybe it did cause some harm. And if it did, I personally, okay, this is where y'all might think I'm a little wrong here, but personally, I think he had it coming. And also, cool. Is that wrong for me to say? Like, hey, my little spell worked enough that you felt uncomfortable enough to come and seek out a way to get back at me. But also, on another tangent, if it was him, that just bothers me that he came up to my door, you know, and was messing with my stuff. Wouldn't that bother anyone else? Yeah, so I'm going to use this screw as a tag lock, and I'm going to do a return to sender spell, and we're going to see what happens. And I might give you an update later next week if something does happen. If nothing happens, that's fine. My dog is playing with her ball again. So yeah. Anyway, so that was probably a really short episode. Taglocks, be extremely careful with them. If you're going to give somebody a present, and that person that you gave that present to is a witch, and you potentially are not going to get along about something, you're just going to have to accept the fact that if they're that petty, or if you push them to become that petty, then they will use that. Maybe. Or they're above me and they're a better person than I am. But you know what? I've just got to the point that I'm tired. I'm tired. And I'm tired of people trying to think that they can just walk all over me and take control of my existence. So, yeah. And with that, and the potential background growling of Freya and my cat playing, I will leave you with that. Be careful, stay safe, let your dogs play. Yes, and I will talk to you next week. Okay, bye!